My name is Shawn Amidon, and I've known Todd Gilbert since my senior year in high school. To tell the story, I actually have to take it back a little bit further and start in 8th grade. You see, up until 8th grade, I had trouble fitting in, to say the least. There was just something about me that had a very punchable face, I guess. But then I met Ashley Drew Peacock. Ashley Drew Peacock. Drew Peacock. Drew Peacock? Alright. That's kind of hilarious. And he's really good-natured about it. And it being kind of hilarious. So I think this dude and I can be friends. And we were. The best of friends. From that day we met to the day he died. We thought we were so singular in our relationship and our interests and our talents and our abilities. And then we met Adam and Todd. You could not have designed better younger brothers. They inspired us. They challenged us. They kind of seemed to want to be us, and that was both weird and super cool, so we totally leaned into that. Todd and Ashley continued with music on a spiritual level. Adam and I, we are to pull from a John Cusack movie, High Fidelity. We are the great appreciators. It's just not because they're gone, but let the record show that, for better or worse, Adam and I, we were the Rob Gordon. We did not realize at the time how much that was actually to the worse, and we're sorry. Todd and Ash were Dick and Barry. And we will let you, in your own mind's eye, decide which one was which. And what that tells you is a bit of a Rorschach test of what aspects of those characters you pictured and why that reflected in what you knew of Todd and Ash. That's on you. But for purposes of this story, it's that they were the true talent. They had the passion and they had the connection. They had the obsession with the music in a deep and spiritual sense that was like another language to them. And Adam and I did our best, but we only got rough translations. There is no Ashley Peacock. There is no Todd Gilbert without the other two in this musical world. For better or worse. What is absolutely irrefutable is that they were like Lennon and McCartney and made each other's music better. Sometimes in spite of, and sometimes because of each other's ego. And their need to be seen. Just like Lennon and McCartney. If we keep the analogy, I guess I leave it to each of you to decide if Adam and I are George or Ringo. No pressure. Something tells me that though all things must pass, it would be a blessing, my sweet Lord, if you chose correctly, or else might find that my guitar gently weeps. I hope you found that as hilarious as the four of us would have, but you're forgiven if you don't. Adam and I know enough about music and love music that we would find that hilarious. Todd and Ash, I assure you, at least attempted to figure out how to play the sitar just like George Harrison, because of course they did. Shifting to a different but related analogy, we have the traveling Wilburys, or as Ash and Todd would call themselves, the Chance Brothers. The late 90s and early 2000s were weird. Let's just leave it at that. But it came to be that my dad had bought a house with his second wife out in Lapeer, and my dad and I had made the basement into the most earth-shaking Frankenstein-together sound system that no one could truly imagine until they experienced it. This was our unofficial clubhouse and refuge and Dead Poet Society-style introduction to music, with my father, Charles Amidon, as the self-proclaimed professor. A copywritten and regionally recognized singer, songwriter, and thespian in his own right, Charles Amidon was among a team of superhero fathers that introduced us to music. And it was in his lair that we most often experienced it and debated it and shared trivia about it together. And we would bask in listening to just the most exquisite music ever written, and we would bicker over whether the Rolling Stones were the greatest band of all time, or if they could easily be erased because they were nothing that did not already exist, and better with the Animals, the Kinks, the Who, and the Bee Gees. And since I'm the one who's making the video, you can guess where I landed. At the end of our lecture series in the basement of my dad's house in the middle of nowhere, we would crank music to levels that were absolutely unwise on our young ears. We universally decided that the Traveling Wilburys was and forever will be the greatest supergroup ever, and that largely was inspired by my dad's absolute fantastic obsession with everything Jeff Lynne and Electric Light Orchestra, including Xanadu, which absolutely is a spot to give a nod to Amanda Somerville, without whom many other experiences and musical connections and whatnot would not have happened. Which is also a great tie-in to mention someone who is instrumental, pun mostly intended, in both of their creative journeys, as well as being connected to Amanda in his own amazing back catalog, Mr. Mark Bernash. There's no Ashley Peacock or Todd Gilbert as we knew them without Mark Bernash. Coincidentally, played with the Chance Brothers. See how this all ties together? It's a long-winded railway story of discovery and joy and love and loss and pain and healing and friendship and more love. So just as the 12 Traveling Wilburys performed End of the Line as their tribute to the loss of Roy Orbison, I requested the opportunity to have my contribution be the remaining members of the Chance Brothers, metaphorically if not technically, to be our tip of the hat to the individuals that are so irreplaceable. Todd Gilbert, Ashley Peacock, and Charles Amidon. For better or worse, no story exists without the others. I hope that everyone will join us this Saturday at 7 p.m. at the Local 432 for Encore, a tribute to Todd Gilbert, so we can send this rock legend to rock Valhalla in the manner in which he deserves.